the 365 cut. These are the meaningless ramblings of a Scottish redone whore and a pissy ex-video store clerk. Their ongoing mission is to set right the movie wrongs. They're gonna need a bigger podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to the 365 Flicks podcast. My name is Kevin Halden. I will be your hostess with the mostess. That makes no sense. I will be your host this evening for this episode. We are once again Chris, the Scottish Sweden whore, free. He is not here. He's still doing loads of work. But he will be back very soon for a regular schmegular. I think I've already explained this to you, that I am just kind of taking the reins on like indie talks and everything until we can get back into our socially distanced bubble and talk about movies that we love. And I've got to be honest with you, I've got a funny feeling that when we do come back for a regular schmegular, that's going to be one of those big bad some bitch episodes that's like 6 hours long, so you better grab onto your jock straps for that one. My name is Kevin Halden. I am the Pissy X video store clerk, and tonight I have an absolute blinder. So we have a very good friend of the show, Mr. Aaron Goodmiller, listens to every single episode, likes to input with things. He has been on an episode at one point, I believe it was the Road to Infinity Wars episode, Ant-Man, I want to say. We'll just go with Ant-Man. I'm right till I'm wrong, sorry. So yeah, that is out there. That is awesome. We absolutely want to get you to listen to that episode as well from way back. But Aaron came on the show because he made a movie that I absolutely adored and I pimped the absolute living hell out of, called Admins. You'll have heard me talking about it. I did love it, and it was one of those things that Admins was already out, so we couldn't really get him on to talk about it and everything like that. We talked a little bit about it on the Marvel episode, but this was a good chance to get him on to A, talk about that, but B, talk about a new film that he has got. He has a new movie, Left Fingers, which is sort of a thriller set around geocaching. What is geocaching, I hear you all cry? Well, geocaching, my good friends, I will let you know, is kind of like a Pokemon Go treasure hunt. You put your details into an app. The app tells you where people have left geocaches. You go and find those geocaches, and there's little things inside them, like little trinkets and stuff and things, and you can take them and leave something else, or leave them and take something else. It's awesome, and I want to take the girls and do this, but they've made a movie where geocaching is sort of the B plot. It's the background story. It's going on in the background and it's all cool, but you have the main story, which is sort of apparently it's a little bit of a love story. And when I heard what Aaron was doing with this, I was like, this actually sounds super interesting. Like, when he first hit me up about it, I was like, nah, not my cup of tea. But then when I really started reading into it and looking into it, this geocaching sounds pretty badass, and I do want to take my girls to do it for a little bit and see what it's like and see what we can find around our local area. It probably would be fingers, though, to be honest. So yeah, we're going to be coming up to that interview in a short minute, because this is an indie talk. But I am Kevin, the Pissy X video store clerk, and you are listening to us 365 Flicks. You could have found us on any number of podcatching apps, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Libsyn, blah, 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 blah. There's many. If you can get a podcast on this app, you will find us. That is where we are. Please do. We are awesome. We are on some awesome groups as well, some amazing homes where we are housed by people like the Tangent Bound Network, not the Kaija Club, but that would be awesome. We are on the Wicked Radio Network, we are on Tangent Bound, we are on Danger Entertainment, we are on our British home Nerdly, and a little bit on Nerdly in a second. We've got some really exciting things happening there, and so you can find us in all those places. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram at 365FlixPod. You can find our website at 365FlixPod.com. And the website's going gangbusters. People are loving my reviews right now. I recently put one out for the British independent movie Tribal, which is doing really well. It has hit the streaming sites this week. It's also hit physical DVD. I put a review out, and my God, people are really taken to that. So thank you Thank you so much for that. That's awesome. But yeah, so we are going to get into this episode with Aaron, double Aaron Goodmiller, to talk about left fingers. But before we do, please do, I have started another podcast. It was on, the first episode was on this feed. You would have saw it. It was my interview with Jesse V. Johnson, who is an absolute total legend of a man to speak to. Second episode is incoming. It's called Nerdly Out Loud. As you would guess, it is for the British website nerdly.co.uk. I've been talking to Phil Wheat for a while about what we could do, and that is what I've done. We're going to be sort of taking the Indie Talk concept and taking that over to Nerdly Out Loud. We're still going to be doing it on 365 as well a little bit, but we're sort of taking that concept over to Nerdly Out Loud, and that is going to be the main feature of the episodes. Going to be interviews with independent directors, producers, creatives. We're going to try and stick to sort of British, but if we go outside British, that's fine as well. As long as it's independent, we are going to push it to the moon. That's going to be going on over there. I'll also be doing little reviews where I'll be taking reviews from the website, whether it be a movie, TV show, game, anything like that. We'll be taking those reviews and we'll be reading them out. And if I have seen the product, I will be giving my opinion. If I haven't seen the product, you probably guessed it, I will be giving my opinion too. That's why it's called Nerdly Out Loud. It is the reviews from the website read out loud with a third-party opinion coming from myself, I guess. But yeah, that's really interesting, and I'm loving that. Massive congratulations to the Romford Film Festival. They said we couldn't do a physical film festival this year. They said everything was going to be online. They said festivals this year were done. COVID has done them in. Well, they were wrong, because the Romford Film Festival went ahead. It was a scaled down version. The theatres weren't as full as you would have hoped, but they did really well. There were lots of butts in seats for all the movies. They've done phenomenal. The guys were putting out amazing interviews. I got to sit on Zoom, and I think I did like 7 interviews, 5, 6. Yeah, I did like 7 interviews on Zoom with some of the directors. I had a blast putting them out. It's even got me wanting to do video as well, which is awesome. So that's going to keep on trucking. But yeah, check out all that stuff. Well done to those guys. Nerdly is looking favourable right now, and 365 will always be around. You will always get the geeky goodness from us on here. But yeah, for now, Aaron Goodmiller, we jumped in, we talked about this Geo-Cache movie, Left Fingers. Please do listen to this. Aaron is such an amazing guy. It is to promote the IndieGoGo campaign that is currently, I believe it went live today, or the 20th it went live. So please do check that out. If you can give it anything, throw some pennies its way, throw some pounds its way, some dollars, some EU money, whatever you've got, whatever your conversion is, send it some love. If you can't give it any money, that's cool, man. But why not give it a share? Share it on all your social medias and see if you've got some friends that can. Maybe you've got like a Daddy Warbucks type character who has lots of money to burn and nowhere to burn it, and he could just throw it towards Aaron, and Aaron could finish off his movie. The movie is made. It just needs the finishing things, like the bells and whistles. That's all it needs. So you're investing in a movie that is already made. It's a no-lose situation. So do it. Go for it. Get on IndieGoGo. Look for Left Fingers. Aaron Goodmiller.
Hey everyone. So this Geo-Cache thing, I'm going to give it one more shot.
In progress.
It was actually kind of cathartic. Anyways, hopefully I find something a little bit more exciting than this army guy. So I'm not allowed to give any further details. But today on my geocaching trip, check this out. Can't be real. I think someone's following me.
Didn't you feel more alive than just sitting at home scrolling through comments?
Why do you gotta lie about stupid stuff all the time? Making yourself out to be something you're not. I thought I was gonna die. It's his fault! I don't care if you're following me, I'm lost! Help! Help!
So tonight I am joined by what I would call number one fan, Aaron Goodmiller of the 365 Flicks podcast. The only problem with this episode is going to be that nobody's going to be listening to it because Aaron's going to be on it.
Yeah, I'm the only one who listens. So.
No, man. This is awesome. It's great to have you on the podcast officially, properly for an episode where we get to promote yourself, because we had you on for the Ant-Man Road to Infinity War episodes, which, yeah, nearly killed the podcast, and I blame you for that, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it.
But how are you tonight, Aaron? How are you keeping this fine day?
Well, today I'm doing actually pretty good. I'm out on vacation, so I can't complain.
And you mentioned something about you having hurricanes over there. What's going on there?
Yeah, I'm in the North Carolina area in the Outer Banks, and the hurricane Isaias, whatever it is, it kind of whipped through us, and it was supposed to like go right over top of us, and it either moved to the left or to the right of us, and we only got just a bunch of wind. That was about it. So nice. We got really, really lucky.
Is that something that happens often around where you are? Is it like Twister where you have hurricane seasons?
Yeah, we have on the East Coast we have a hurricane season. I guess it goes from like May to September, like through the summer months, and it just depends on the luck of the wind and whether or not it heads up towards us or not. Up in Virginia where I live, we very rarely get anything, but down here in the Outer Banks, they get one like every 5-6 years, kind of thing.
See, we never get nothing like that over here. It's just pissy rain and snow. That's all we get. That's as much as we get. So you're on tonight because you wanted to come on and talk about a Kickstarter campaign that you're about to be running for a Geo-Caching. And listeners, we will get to that in a little bit. Geo-Caching. Yeah, you're going to need that explained. So we will be getting to that in a little bit, but you're kicking off a Kickstarter campaign. I believe it's the middle of August, the 14th, 15th?
Yeah, it's actually going to be in IndieGoGo campaign.
Oh, an IndieGoGo. Nice.
IndieGoGo campaign, yes. It'll be an IndieGoGo campaign. It'll kick off August 20th.
20th.
Yeah, and it'll go for 30 days from there. We're looking for right around $9,000 to make for finishing funds for the film.
Awesome, and we'll get onto that. We're all about trying to push the indie projects, and with you being a good fan of the show and generally just being quite a good little pal to us. You're a good mate, as we say over here. I know you didn't understand what heap lie on is, but I'm understanding that you will know what mate is.
I do.
But we'll get into all that in a quick hot minute. But because this is the first time that we've had you on properly, officially, I would like to basically ask you a couple of little questions. Now, you've listened to the show a couple of times with the interviews that we do, and recently it's been a bit of a unprecedented time all around the globe, and the movie world and the industry it's been hit pretty hard. I think everywhere's been hit pretty hard, but the movie industry in particular, for me as a fan, has been well and truly hit. I just wanted to know how your experience has been through the whole COVID thing, how you've been keeping yourself going, and how it's affected you.
Okay. Well, for me, it's actually been fairly easy. By day, I'm a computer programmer. I actually write programs that test other people's programs.
Oh, nice. So
my job isn't, it doesn't require me to be in the office. So the guy that runs the building that I'm at, he's like, look, if you can do your work from home, then stay home. And so I've been home since the middle of March, pretty much. Damn. So working from home every day. I've had to go into the office once since then. We hired a new guy, and I had to go in and kind of help onboard him. Mm-hmm. But that's about it. That's other than that, I've been home every day. My kids, I think that's probably the hardest part is the kids.
Tell me about it.
They go through a little bit of cabin fever every once in a while. They don't like the fact that I won't let them sleep in. My daughter loves sleeping in, but I won't let them sleep in until past, like, I give them 9:15, and that's like my max.
That's not bad.
You got to get up after that. I mean, you're not going to sleep the day away.
No.
So, and my wife, she, up until about a month ago, she was working her job every day. She was actually one of the essential people. She worked for a doctor's office. She had to go in and work for that doctor's office. About a month ago, though, she called me up, was like, would be okay if I quit? And I was like, yeah, I make enough. You can quit. So she quit her job, and so she's been trying to figure out what to do for her next steps. But other than that, I mean, we've been handling it pretty well, I guess.
That's cool. No, I say we keep getting different. Obviously, everybody's got different sort of circumstances and everything, but it's good to hear you've been keeping well and doing okay. And on the sort of the industry front, on the movie front, how's that been? Just sort of ticking over, or?
Yeah, for the film itself, it's been so we had just finished. We'd finished a majority of the shooting before COVID hit, and then when COVID hit, I was doing a little bit of editing here and there, and then we got I hired a marketing guy on, and I sat down with him, and we went through and talked. We kind of figured out what festivals we want to get into, and what the scheduling would be to be able to get into those festivals, and kind of scraped it back to where we were. And I was like, all right, I've got like 6 weeks to get like a completed film done. So it was like, all right, I got to kind of kick myself in the butt here and get working on this film. So I knocked out a first draft of this film, and I'm going through a second draft right now, and we're working on trailers for the IndieGoGo campaign. So it's thankfully we don't have to, because of the internet nowadays, you don't really have to do a lot of stuff in person. Like I knocked out a first draft and of the edit and sent it off to him and a couple of the producers and let them watch it, and they're like, okay, here's a good thing. In fact, I even over the internet sat down with the writer, and we both watched the film over the internet together. Awesome. and we're like, all right, we need to cut this, we need to cut that, this is really good, we need to extend this, we need to extend that. So it's kind of interesting, all the stuff that you can do nowadays. That it's all been out there already. Just
exactly.
Hadn't thought about using it. So
yeah, because we're also
really neat.
We're also committed to being in the room with one another, and we're also committed to the creative process being together. But it's sort of like when you can't be together, it's like, actually, you know what? The internet, we can be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know we had I had Giles Alderson on a few episodes ago. He was talking about Knights of Camelot, Arthur and Merlin, and he was basically saying how like they scored that, they edited that, they graded that, all in their separate sort of domains and all this, and sending it over and everything.
Oh, really?
He would say it was a very jarring experience, but the product that came out at the end was still what was in their head. And he's like, so it goes to show it can be done. You would just rather be sat there with your editor, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, there are times. Well, I mean, if it wasn't me editing.
Well, yeah. You want to be sat there by yourself, with yourself. Yeah, I guess.
It would be good if I had somebody else that was editing the film. It would be good to be able to go, okay, I'm going to give you notes, and then at some point sit down with them and go through the entire film and go, we need to cut this, we need to cut that, kind of thing, or add this, add that. Like face to face or one on one, but even then, like the way I did it with Eric, we could easily do it that way nowadays. So it's just crazy.
Yeah, just everybody trying to find the new normal.
Yeah, definitely.
But as you say, it's giving you time to tighten things up and tighten up your edit, and it's one thing that we can't complain about in the last 3, 4, 5 months is we just didn't have time, because we've had tons of it.
Yeah, if anybody says, anybody who complained before that they didn't have time and they didn't complete that thing now, they were lying. They were completely lying.
It's a funny one because obviously, as you know, with the podcast, things kind of like tapered off a little bit towards the tail end of last year. Me and Chris got a little bit burnt out a touch. And sort of like I had all these ideas in my head. I'm like, right, I'm going to start pushing on this, like the whole thing with Nerdly. I'm going to push on that. I'm going to push on this. I'm going to start contacting these people. I really want to speak to these people. These guys contacted us a while ago. I never got back to them. It's kind of like, but I just never had time. And I was sat there about 2 or 3 weeks into the lockdown, And the wife's just sitting there looking at us like, you know what you've got a lot of now, though? And I was just kind of like, yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. So pulled out the laptop, scrubbed off the notes, and started getting back into it. So it's been good for that. It's been good for that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
Content is the winner. So before we get into the project Left Fingers, because like I say, this is the first time we've had you on probably, but I do want to fully get into talking a little bit about yourself. And one of the places you should always start as an icebreaker and getting to know your guests is how on earth you got into this industry and why the hell would you do it?
Well, so I'm going to give you, I guess, the long-winded answer, which I figured people will just start clicking off right about now. So,
oh, they're already gone. Don't worry about that.
They're already gone.
At this point, you're the only one still listening.
Oh, true. So when I was growing up, I loved going to the movies, going to the theater, and things like that. And then around, I guess, 82, 83, I don't know, somewhere in there, early 80s, my parents bought a VCR, and then they got a subscription to. In our area, it was called Errol's. It was like the local Blockbuster of the group or of the area, and it was like every Friday we would go there and we would rent 2 or 3 movies and keep them for the weekend and watch movies all weekend. There was even a time where one time it snowed like 2 feet, and for some reason this Errol's was still open, and we packed up our stuff and we walked. It's like a 2-mile walk to get to this Errol's, and we walked 2 miles in the snow to get to this Errol's so we could rent like 6 or 8 movies, and then walked all the way back and like watched movies all weekend during this big snowstorm. And so growing up, it was always around the house watching movies, and always going to movies. I could up until I was like maybe 10, 12 years ago, I could probably tell you every theater. Like if you gave me a movie, I could tell you the theater, where I sat in the theater for each and every single movie that I'd seen, because I just love going to the movies that much. And then my first job, I was working at a computer store, and the people there, they every Friday night, they were just like, all right, we're going to see the latest movie that's coming out. So every Friday night I was going to movies with these group of guys. And then after the movie was over, we would go to the movie, and then we would stand outside. Even if it was like 30 degrees outside, we would all huddle around and just kind of discuss the movie. I like this about the movie. I like that about the movie. It was really fun and blah, blah, blah. This part was really cool. This part sucked. And all that kind of discussion. It was again, a lot of fun to hang around and talk about movies. And then I got a job at a Blockbuster, and another local video place. And my friend, he worked at the local multiplex movie place. I think there was like 5 years there when I didn't miss a single movie. I mean, like every movie that came out on video, I was watching. Every movie that was in the theater, I was going to see. So it was just, I was constantly around it. And then, I don't know, it's like around 95, 96, a buddy of mine that I always hung out with, my best friend at the time, we were always just hanging out, and he was going to school, so he was up late all the time, and I was working at the Blockbuster, or the video place all the time, and I would get out at 1, and he was always up, and we would go, and he's like, I need some coffee. And we would head out and grab coffee, and there was one time where we were hanging out, and I mentioned, I was like, man, it'd be kind of cool to get an Oscar. He's like, well, why can't you get an Oscar? And I was like, I don't know. Why can't I get an Oscar? He goes, all you got to do is just start working towards it. You can get it yourself. I was like,
oh man,
all right, that kind of be kind of cool. So at that point, I still didn't know anything about it. I didn't know what to do or anything. So I just like surfing. At that time, it was like the Yahoo groups and stuff. And yeah, exactly. So I surfing Yahoo groups, trying to get onto potential movies, short films in the area. And I got on a couple of them, just to be on the set. Yeah. I tried to write my own script. And then around 2000, 2001, I was like, you know what? I kind of just got to bite the bullet and write a script and just make a short film myself. And so I wrote a short film and brought in a couple of friends, but 5 or 6 friends, and we all got together and we shot this short film. And the first shot of the film, my first shot ever calling action, and the camera just kind of, you call action and it just goes doop, just like from where it's shooting the actors, it just goes straight up into the sky like it's shooting the ceiling. I was like, oh my god, this is not a very good start to your film career. So we shot a short, and it just kind of ballooned from there. Where we shot that short, and then we shot it's like 11 shorts in about six or 7 years.
That's not
and then we got to the point where my buddy Eric, he's like, hey, we've shot shorts. I've got a really good idea for a full-length feature film. What do you think about this? And he told me about his idea for Ghosts Don't Exist, which was, those films or those TV shows with the ghost hunters.
Yeah.
It's a movie about one of those guys who's like, he's not delusional. He's given up on it. He's like, I just can't do it anymore. I haven't been able to find any ghosts. I just don't want to do it anymore. And so he gives up, announces his retirement, and then this guy calls him up out of the blue and is like, hey, look, if you come here, I have a guarantee that you will find a ghost at my place. And so he's like, all right, I'll get the people back together for one last show. So he gets the people together, and they go to this guy's house, and the guy sits them all down in his room. He's like, look, I guarantee you're going to find a ghost because I'm going to contact you from the other side. And he kills himself in front of the crew.
Okay.
And so like he tells me this hook, and I'm like, that's it. I'm in.
Yeah.
That's a great hook. We'll make this film. And so we just kind of worked towards. We somehow got somebody from the local NFL football team, as opposed to
I saw this.
as opposed to the a European football team from
over here we call that American rugby. You can have it. So.
American rugby. Okay, American rugby. On the NFL rugby team, on the now Washington football team, we got him one of the tight ends for them, Chris Cooley. He was like this weird kind of guy who was doing blogs at the time. And he was like, "Hey, I'd love to be an executive producer on the film." We got him involved, and he came on and helped us get this film made, and got into a bunch of festivals and did well for us. And then we made our second film, which is kind of a throwback to Clerks, called Admins. And then like 5 years later, we're now on to Left Fingers. So it's just kind of snowballed into what we're at now. A very, very slow snowball, though.
I love that. I love oh man, talking about video shops, Jesus. I mean, I'm still one of these people that believes there is a market for video shops. I'm sorry, but there's a market for it, and everybody's just kind of like, "Oh, it's dead. Nobody's going to video shops anymore." And I'm like, people will go. If you make a video shop, they will go. Kevin Costner said it. But I'm just dying. Like, and again, the whole going to the cinema and everything. Obviously, with everything, the COVID situation, I cannot wait to get back in the cinema.
I can't either. I miss it so much.
It's mental as well, because it's funny because I sort of like I hadn't been as much. And I always try to go, and I always try and get myself there for the big releases and the ones that I really want to see and everything like that. But I think over the last year, I've maybe been like 4 or 5 times, which I still think is not too bad considering I've got 3 kids. But it was getting harder and harder to get there. And then as soon as you told me that I couldn't go, I don't even have the choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. This kid's been missing a cinema.
Yeah, it's like a 40-minute drive for you too to get to the cinema, right?
Pretty much, yeah. 40,
Yeah.
50 minutes. It's mad. It's mad. And the Romford guys, they're putting on a festival in a couple of weeks. In fact, I think it's next week. And they were kind of like, just come down. We've got the cinema. We're doing the social distance screening. We've got like, we can't fill the screen, but we can half fill it. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, can I drive 4.5 hours to go and see a film?
Maybe.
I just don't know if I can justify that. I mean, it would end up having to be a couple of nights away as well, so I could maybe justify that. But
Right.
so you quickly mentioned the admins. This is how you and I kind of got talking. It's sort of how we met, so to speak. Admins sort of crossed my desk. I absolutely fell in love with that movie. Like you said before, it sort of harkened back to the Clerks days, the Office Space days, like both two tremendous movies that I absolutely love. And this film just suckered me in straight away. You just grabbed me there. So how did, I know you briefly just said there, but how exactly did Admins come about, and how did you know it was the project for you?
So Admins was, it's one of those films. So I'll actually take it back to Clerks. So Clerks is one of those films where you watch it and you're like, it speaks to me because I've been in retail and I know retail. Yeah. And everything that happened in that film had happened to me at some point because I'd been in retail. And so as I got into computers, and because of my love of film, it was just like, all right, this thing that just happened to me is kind of similar to what happened in Clerks, and the same thing would happen to Eric, and the same thing would happen to other people that we know, and we would like send emails back and forth like, this is kind of like the Clerks, this scene in Clerks, and we'd like write a parody of what happened to us and put it in the Clerks film, and Eric would be like, Eric would put them together and we're like, this would be great if it was a film. And then at some point, it had been like 4 years since we had made a film, and Eric was like, you know what, we just got to do the Clerks movie. we got to, we know this stuff, we know what's funny, we know this kind of thing would be great. We can do all these small vignettes and put it together and make it into a film. And I was like, if you can do that, if you think you can put it together, that'd be great. And so he was going to write it and direct it, and then we were both going to edit it, put it together. And then we sat down, and him and this other guy we know, Karash, those two kind of wrote the script together. I would like add my 2 cents. I'm not the best writer, so I just kind of like, if you said this one line as opposed to this, and that's kind of like my input for the writing. But they kind of knock out all the really good stuff. I came up with anything that isn't on PC.
The gold.
And Eric will say the same thing. He came up with everything that's on PC, and Karash will say the same thing. I came up with everything that's on PC. So
that's brilliant.
So that's kind of how the brainchild of it was. And Eric was actually going to direct the film, and about 2 months prior to us going into production, we'd already hired. Oops, I hit the wrong button on my phone. About 2 months prior into going to production on the film, Eric got this huge promotion at work.
Nice.
And so he's like, I am not going to have any time for pre-production or to be sitting on a set for 9 days to be able to shoot this film. So he kind of like, look, do you think you can direct it? And I was like, yeah, I could direct it, no problem. So. And of course I lied. So we sat down and hashed through it, and he told me all of his notes about what he was thinking about different scenes and stuff, and I was like, okay, that sounds good. Sounds all doable. I can kind of be a stand-in for it, and then I kind of added my own little twists and extras into what I think the character should be like and things like that. And then we sat down and shot the film over like 9 days at an Uber offices, or one of those places where you rent an office in an office building where they have a whole bunch of different offices. We rented a couple offices there and then just kind of utilized the entire space.
That's awesome. So
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
With the Clerks connection and you guys all having similar stories to what's in that movie and the things you put into Admins, who would you say you're more like when it comes to Randall and Dante?
Oh,
we all want to be Randall, but let's be honest, most of us are Dante.
Yeah, I'm probably a Dante.
I always wanted to be Randall. Mean.
I do know people who are like Randall. I know a lot of people. In fact, that Randall guy, from what I understand, is a lot of his characteristics are like a lot of the people that are in a couple people's jobs. So, yeah, that's not really the kind of guy you want to be.
But he's the coolest guy.
He is.
I remember I also worked in a video shop over here. It was we had Blockbusters and we had Global Video, and I worked for Global Video, which was sort of Blockbusters competition in the UK. I say competition, we were still miles behind, but we were getting there about 2 minutes before it closed. But so I remember like sitting there, being in the video shop and watching Clerks and thinking, I so wish I could just speak to customers like Randall does. You know?
Yes.
But really, I'm more like Dante, just apologizing for everything.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry that we don't have this movie. If you wait a couple minutes, we might get it. As opposed to, just get out. You don't have it, go.
Yeah, you're stopping me from watching my movie, leave.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I want it to be. But Admins was nominated for a number of awards, and so was the movie you made before that. But like, so coming into it and just finally kind of, especially with Admins, where it's like somebody else was going to direct, and then you sort of got your hat thrown into the ring and everything. So when it gets recognised that way, what kind of feeling is that for you guys as a finished product?
Well, as somebody who's involved in every aspect of it, it's a fantastic feeling. I mean, when and even though these aren't like the film festivals we got into aren't like Sundance or South by Southwest or Cannes or anything like that, but even if it's just a small festival, and that small festival is like you're up for best director, best picture, best actor, best supporting actor, best writing, best this, best that's like, holy crap, that's really good. I mean, not only did we get selected out of 1,000 films that got put in there, but we also got selected as your top 5 films. So it's really just I know that it's the cliche thing to say, but just to be nominated is it's kind of like a little bit of recognition of saying, hey, you made a really good film. Yeah, especially
filmmaking at that level as well. When you're sort of you're not exactly one of the big guns and everything you put into that movie is your blood, sweat, and tears. That is like, it's independent filmmaking at its finest. So when it does get recognized, too right, man. Because like you say, there's 1,000 to 2,000 other movies that didn't, you know.
And you put 2 years of your life into this film, and for somebody to go, hey, you're up for best picture and best director and best actor. And they're like, oh, that's nice. That's very nice. I appreciate it.
That must be awesome.
Yeah. Oh, it feels really good.
I'll never get there. But and
you could always ride Chris's coattails.
I think I could do a better job, to be honest. He's not going to listen, so. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Chris had been on about making that movie for some time, and that was a cool couple of nights. I enjoyed that. I mean, I will go on the podcast and say that I did a lot and I helped a lot. I really didn't. I kind of just, to be honest, up until the night we rolled camera, I hadn't read it. So that's how good of a producer I was. I joke, I had actually read it. Briefly in the bathroom, but it was good fun. That was really good fun, and of course yourself, you helped us finish it off and made it look as smart as it did, and we had a cheeky little premiere with some of our friends, which was pretty cool. That was cool. More cool for him. I just kind of sat at the back.
Hey, look, the riding coattails is always the most fun because you really don't have to do a ton, but you can get recognition for it.
And let's be honest, he's been doing it on the podcast for 6 years. He might have the Scottish accent, but he doesn't do everything I do.
You're the one pushing all the buttons and
exactly, bells and whistles, bells and whistles. So on the nominations and the awards fronts and everything. A guy who absolutely, and I think everybody's great in the movie, but a guy who absolutely stole the movie for me is Mr. Doug Henderson. How on earth did you find this guy? Is he a friend, or how did he come onto the project?
So the way he got on the project is actually kind of strange. It's a different way than you would expect.
Okay.
So we had a casting call where we had 20, 25 people come in and read for the parts. And one of the guys was the guy who got the Dante part, Jay. And initially we had brought him in, and we were going to give him a couple of one of the lower. Eric had liked these other two guys for the Dante and Randall parts. And so they came in, the two guys that Eric liked, they came in, they read, and they were really good at their parts. And Jay came in, and he read for this other part. And Jay was like, you know what? I really want to get the Dante part. I really like this script, and I like the Dante part. I really want to get it. So he sat down with Doug Henderson, and they just did like a 10-minute video where it was just those two coming, essentially figuring out what the characters were and riffing back and forth for 10 minutes on a video about just a day in the life of two techies. They didn't know anything about being a techie. They didn't know anything about computer. They know everybody knows a little bit about computers. So they were just kind of riffing on the issues that they were having and pretending like they were having to fix them.
That's cool.
And they sent that video in, and I was cracking up. And I sent it to Eric. I was like, I think these guys are better than the other two. And Eric watched it, and he's like, yeah, I think you're right. And that's kind of how he got in. He didn't even come to the casting call or anything. Cool. He just sat down with Jay and did this one-off video for Jay to try and help Jay get into the movie, and he got into the movie himself as well.
That's so cool. That's cool. Because he does, for me, like, he's so cool. The coffee scene there, and the scene in the coffee shop when they're looking out the window. Oh, my Christ. I actually, once that scene finished, I went back and I watched it again because I was like, did I just see all of that happen? Like, the dialogue in that scene is phenomenal. It's really good. But, yeah, I went straight back and I watched that scene again because I was just like, this guy can deliver. Like, it's just good, just awesome.
Oh yeah,
but I'm a big fan of admins, as you know.
Yeah, that scene when he initially came to me, he was like, "How should I do this scene?" I was like, "You know what? You should probably just try and blaze through it and see if you can knock it all, not in one breath, but just like kind of go through the entire thing." And he's like, "Yeah, I think I could do that." And he just kind of sat back and knocked it out all at one time, and it was like. It's a lot of dialogue to have in your brain, and for the way he just kind of knocks it out, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a cracking scene. Like I say, when I do like the movie, I love the movie, but that scene in particular, I was like, I'm watching that again. I think I just saw something there, and I'm watching that again. So that is admins, and then is it 5 years later you're coming with Left Fingers.
Yeah, it's about 5 years now.
Which is what we had to talk about. The IndieGoGo, which is way more fancier than Kickstarter, by the way.
Oh, yeah, it's so much better.
The IndieGoGo campaign for Left Fingers is about to kick off. You're looking for finishing funds for the movie. It's being shot. You just need to put all the bells and whistles on it, put the shine on it, and make it look good.
Yep.
First of all, for people out there who don't know what the hell this is, because I had to go and look it up, what is geocaching?
So, geocaching is, let's see, what's the easiest way to put it? So, so geocaching is, it's kind of like a hide and seek kind of game, or a treasure hunt kind of game, where people all over the world have put little boxes or big boxes, and sometimes these extremely elaborate boxes in specific areas, and they'll go on to like either the geocaching app or any one of the open source apps. Excuse me. I had a couple beers, so trust me. So it's not a good thing. All right. So they'll go onto these geocaching apps, or they'll go onto one of the open source geocaching apps, and they'll put in their coordinates, and they'll say it's this longitude and this latitude is where I put a box, and you can go in here, and what people will do is they'll find those longitude and latitude, and they'll go there, and they'll take a trinket with them, and they'll go and sign the logbook, and then they'll put in something and take something out. So it's kind of it's definitely a treasure hunt. My kids likened it to pirate treasure, and it's just kind of a fun thing to do to get out into nature.
Yeah.
So there's the way that Eric came across it is somebody mentioned it to him. I was like, hey, have you ever heard of this geocaching stuff? And he's like, kind of interesting. And when they told him, it's like, yeah, when you go there, you have no idea what is in the box. And you could open up the box, and there might be something really cool in there. There could be just like a pen and a quarter or something in there. You just really don't know what's in there. It got in his head, like, what if there was something nefarious in there?
Is it strange that that's the first place your mind goes to?
Yeah, no.
Because
it is.
I was talking to my 12-year-old daughter Ruby, and I was telling her about what we were going to be talking about tonight, and I was like, oh yeah, it's about this geocaching thing. And she says, well, what's that? And I says, well, it's like Pokemon Go but treasure. And she's just sitting there, and I was telling her about it, and she kind of like turned around and goes, but what if you got there and it was like a body part? And I'm like, I'm looking at her going, you're 12. Why? But yeah, carry on.
So yeah, that's where he went. What if there's a body part in the cache? And so he hit me up. I was actually out of town when he called, and he was like, hey, or texted. I was like, hey, have you heard of this geocaching stuff? You should probably check it out. I'm thinking about writing a script about it. And I was like, okay. And this is like right after we had finished shooting admins. And so it's like, all right. I was like, all right, well, I'll check it out. So I got back from vacation, and I took my kids on a couple of treasure hunts, and my daughter found this huge car in one of the geocaches, and so they love it. They like 3 or 4 times a year, maybe 5. They're like, hey, let's go geocaching. We'll head to the local park kind of thing. But when it did, I was like, yeah, this is kind of interesting, because you have no idea when we got to one of these, like the cache was like completely taped up. You couldn't see inside of it. It was hidden underneath a rock, and it was really hard to find, and you had to like lift stuff up and move leaves. And once you finally found it, and we'd walk through a whole bunch of like spider webs and stuff to get there, and you find it, and you open it up, and you still have no idea what's going to be in there. Like one of those snake things could pop out at you, you know. So cool. And so it's going through that whole process is like, yeah, this could really be a cool kind of film if they're finding body parts in there. So that's where Eric had come up with it, and I just kind of sent him a text like, yeah, this is really cool. And once I had known what the premise of the film would be, I was like, yeah, I'm in. It took a good 4 years to get to the point where we were like, all right, this is the one we're going to make now. He wrote a couple of versions of the script, and actually right before we even went into production on it, I actually gave it to 4 or 5 geocachers up on Reddit. I was like, hey, can you just go through and make sure that the stuff in here is like true to the word, stuff that it would actually happen to you if you were on a geocache. And they came back like, yeah, all this stuff that would happen on here is kind of true. This has happened to me, and this has happened to me, and this has happened to me. So yeah, definitely all that stuff in there is true. So, so we kind of make sure that it stays true to the word. I mean, nothing's worse than watching a computer movie and have them go, all you got to do is type in like 4 characters and you can hack into NATO.
I mean, you could probably get into the British government, but so you've kind of touched on it, but what is the basic sort of boiled down, no spoilers, elevator pitch premise of Left Fingers? Although you've kind of already.
So I guess the basic version of it is a up and coming YouTuber who's trying to make a name for himself has decided to start doing geocaching for his YouTube channel, and then the process of doing geocaching the first time in the beginnings of his geocaches, he finds a finger in one of the caches. And he's trying to figure out where this finger came from, and then he starts finding more and more and more fingers in the caches. So he's trying to find out where all these fingers are coming from, and that's kind of the premise of the movie.
So my next question, although it seems a bit redundant now, was basically going to be, I watched a few videos on YouTube of geocaching, obviously trying to get a bit more of a grasp of what it was, and it seemed like a very one man going out and on a treasure hunt, as you say, and trying to decipher the clues. Now, it might have just been the guy that I found was just like a 50-year-old guy who lived by himself and was a little bit, lonely. But it kind of got me thinking, how do you make this into an interesting 90-minute movie? But then you throw body parts in there, you throw mystique and everything, and it's a redundant question, so I might not ask it. But,
okay.
But on that,
and a slight love interest as well.
And a slight love interest with the fingers?
Yes.
Not with the fingers, though.
Yes, with the fingers. Yes.
Oh, okay.
No, not with the fingers.
but all honesty, like you contacted these Reddit guys and everything to make sure that it was sort of true to form and the kind of things that people would go into. But was there ever any kind of point where you're like, I'm just writing a treasure hunt movie? Like, how do I make this like super interesting?
No, I think it's so I'm trying not to give away anything. So
it sells itself. Doug Henderson in Admins I absolutely love, but you had a knack for that movie. You casted very well. Who's playing in your sandbox this time for Left Fingers? Who's your main character going to be? And
so our main character for this one is Peter Cloutier. He's a local guy from down in Richmond. He's about about 100 miles away from us. So he came up for the casting call that we had, and he kind of knocked our socks off with it. And then for the girl, we got a lady called by the name of Crystal Day. She's also from the Richmond area, just south of us, and they were both really good in their casting calls, and both have been really good in the film as well. And there's it's the way they have portrayed these characters has just been way beyond what I expected from just reading the script. It's amazing when you have the script and you're going through and you're reading it. You're like, oh, okay, I could see how somebody would play it this way, and then they get a hold of it and they're like, no. This is how an actual actor would do this kind of thing, and they're going through and they're reading the lines. It's like, holy crap, yeah, this is how an actual actor would actually put it together, and it sounds so much better, and it comes off so much the way just the little nuances with the even just an eyebrow raise at the right time, or a tweak of the mouth at the right time. It's amazing how these guys do this acting thing.
See, like we've spoken to quite a few people over the last few years now, and that's something that always strikes me. Like, I'm very precious about like what I kind of. I like to try and write things every now and then, but I'm very, very precious about it. And I always think to myself, if I was actually directing a film, I don't think I'd want somebody coming in and tell me how they saw the character.
Right.
But it's interesting when, like, because you're not the first person to say it. Like, the actor is the actor and does their research. So when they turn up to set, they know who they are, and they know the character. So, but I always just think to myself, that would piss me off. But I'm just precious, so. So I imagine when you were, like you say, you went out with the kids and you were doing some of the geocaching yourself and everything. But I imagine there was a lot more research into that and everything. Did you come across any like super weird stories of geocaching, or like super nice stories? Because it seems to me like there's an endless amount of things you could do with this.
Yeah, it's the stories part that I actually didn't do a ton of research into it, unfortunately. I not that it's going to hinder the film at all.
No.
The caches that I've been finding on Instagram, because we've been doing all our marketing and stuff. The caches that I've been finding on Instagram, I was like, holy crap, these things are like amazing caches. They're just like, it's just like, there's one that like this one lady was like, oh yeah, I spent an hour at this one cache trying to get into it. It's like, just to get in, she had already found it. Took her a long time to find the cache, and it took her another hour just to get into the cache. It's like they're super elaborate, and they're in really, really crazy places, and they're hidden extremely well.
Yeah.
And it's a very avid group of people. So the amount of to go back to your question, the amount of work that we did, or research that we did going into it, was mainly me going out to a bunch of different caches while we were writing the script, or while Eric was writing the script. He would write a version of it, and I would go out and do like 5 or 6 caches in the area, and then I would come back and I would go, well, this seems right, this seems right, but this kind of thing wouldn't happen. This kind of thing wouldn't happen because they don't. The caches don't happen in this specific way. And then he would go back and he would update that kind of thing. The main story parts where he was that were away from the caches were really well done. But it was the caches part is the only part where I would hit him up and go, hey, look, when he's looking for a cache, it's not just. He would walk right up to the cache. It's like you have to kind of look around and find the cache and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man. And I mean, you guys clearly have a good writing sort of director relationship, because, like I say, I'll brag about admins as long as I possibly can, because genuinely enjoyed it.
Hey, I'll take it.
It was one of those ones that when it came along, I don't know if it was just right time or whatever, but it struck a chord, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I'm gonna. I've got you on the show. I'm going to talk about it, and it's my podcast.
There you go. It's your show. So.
I like when people say that. So let's talk about the campaign for a second, because the movie is essentially shot. It is pretty much done. You just kind of have to raise some funds to get it over the finish line. Now, a lot of people don't necessarily understand what goes into all that. So what do you mean by getting the finishing funds, and what needs to be done to end the movie to get it finished?
Okay. So we shot the film. It's all in the can. I'm personally in the process of editing the film. There are other parts to the editing process that need to be done. We need to have somebody go through and level all the sound out, so as you're recording, you're not just recording one version of each scene. You're recording like 15 versions of one scene. You got 3 from this angle and 3 from this angle and 3 from this angle and 3 from this angle. It's a ton of different times, and each time the level might be different on the sound. So you have to have somebody come through and level it out so it's all the same volume all throughout. And then they got to go through and put some background noise in so that it's not like somebody talking and then blank space and then somebody talking and then blank space. And so you have all that going through with the sound. They'll also add in Foley's, people walking through the woods, that kind of thing. And then you need somebody to go through and colorize to make sure that the color from like I said, it's 15 different cuts of one scene. The color might be slightly off on each one of the scenes or each one of the takes that you pick. So you got to have somebody come in and make sure that the color is the same throughout the entire scene. And that's one specific person you have to pay to come in and do. And then you have your music, and they will come and write specific music that goes specifically for the different scenes as well. And so I can kind of do all that stuff. I can go through and I can do the sound leveling, and I can go through and I can do the colorizing, and I can go through and I can go to a royalty-free website and try and find music that's gonna fit the scenario. And the film will come out, and to me, it will be a great film. But we're trying to make that film an even better film. And that's what the finishing funds will do. The finishing funds will have somebody who knows more than I do about sound, knows more than I do about color, knows more than I do about music, to come in and take care of those things to make the film an even better film than it would be.
Yeah, I only asked the question because a lot of people out there, when it comes to movie making, myself included, when I first started doing this, you don't think about those things. And it's kind of like, well, if the movie's finished, then why are we doing a campaign to get it finished if it's finished?
Right.
So it's just nice for people to know if they're going to get involved, which we hope they do, and that's kind of why you're here. And we're going to try and push that as much as possible, what they're getting involved in and how they're helping contribute to finishing the movie. So it's always good to know.
Yeah, definitely.
And
not everybody knows exactly what that. Even though you have something in the can, it's completely finished, and you do have other things that you need to do.
Well, when Chris kind of when we finished like a little bit of the movie that he was doing, I was literally like, "What? You kidding? We've just put like all those scenes together, and there's still more to do." And he's like, and his editor and everything, Slink was kind of like, "Yeah, we've got to go back. We've got to do some grading. We've got to do some of this." And I'm like, "Oh, this film thing's really hard, isn't it?" I was just like, "I'll go and put the kettle on. I'll make everyone a brew." So with campaigns, you get a little incentive to jump in. What kind of do you know what kind of perks you're going to be having, or what people are getting involved in?
So we have you have those normal perks, which are the get a digital copy of the film, and potentially, let's see, the list that I sent over to the marketing guy the other day was a copy of the film. You can get a copy of the script. You can get a copy, all these being digital copy of the poster. There's also we're kind of because it's a geocache movie, we're trying to cater to them a little bit more, to where you can potentially have a day of geocaching with me. So much fun. You can be an associate producer on the film. You could be an executive producer on the film. Those obviously would cost a little bit more.
Yeah.
Then we have these things which are called Geo-Coins, which are for geocachers. They will do one of two things with them. They'll either buy them and collect them, or they will buy them and they'll put them in a geocache and they'll follow where they go. So what a coin does is it's got a specific serial number on it, and you put it in a cache, and somebody will pick it up. And a vast majority of the time, somebody realizes that this coin is supposed to move. So they will pick it up and they'll go to the website and they'll record, "Hey, I found this coin." And then the next time they go out, they'll put the coin in another cache, so that somebody else will pick it up and take it someplace else. And there are a couple of coins that have traveled to all the continents, so they just move all over the world, kind of thing. So it's kind of interesting how they do that. So we'll have those in there. There's things called geopaths. Oh crap, I can't think of the name of them. But there's it's just like a smaller version of the geo coin. There's one that's like a quarter size, and that's with the path tag. They'll have a path tag, and then you have the geo coin, which is about the size of a silver dollar. And then I think there's a couple of other ones, and I can't remember what they are currently.
It's so cool as well, because I don't want to sound too flippant or anything, but when you first mentioned the whole geocaching and what it was, I was kind of like, yeah, okay. And then when I started looking into it, and actually really looking into it, and kind of listening to you talk about it tonight, it sounds really cool, actually. it's like my inner child and inner nerd and inner geek is kind of like, yeah, I'm going to download this app and I'm going to see if there's any near me. And I live in a small town, so I guarantee I'll go to mine and it'll just be like a rock. It'll not be anything. It'll be like the most minimum effort possible just to say, oh, there's one here. But
it's crazy. I never expected to find any by me, and there's 50 of them around my house.
It's crazy popular as well. It seems to be really popular. Yeah. Everywhere I looked, like you say, there was a lot of different posts, a lot of different articles, and I was like, this actually seems to be one of a really big thing that I've just never heard of. Mm-hmm. But it also lends itself to serial killers, which is just awesome.
which is why I want to do the geocaching with somebody or some random person on the web.
Oh, you've got to just yeah.
As long as my finger doesn't end up in a cache, I'm all good.
But and are you thinking if this one all goes well, because like I said earlier, it seems like the sort of thing that you could branch many stories off of. You could probably do a straight up horror with that in the background, or straight up love story, or I don't know, just a murder mystery. It's pretty cool. I reckon you could do pretty much anything with it. Oh
yeah, there's actually a geocaching film festival that happens somewhere in the U.S. I can't remember exactly where it is, but it's not a full length feature film festival, but it's a short film festival that where they have 30 or 40 films every year showing up, and every single one of them is centered around geocaching.
That is so cool. All going well, and the IndieGoGo gets the funds. I mean, the movie's it's made, so it's all good, and we just need to finish it off. When are you expecting that people could get their first glimpse of this movie? You said there's a trailer, but that's for the IndieGoGo.
Yeah, we'll have a trailer in the next couple of weeks, and then so we have to have the film in a very almost completed form by the end of August, early September, to meet the beginning of the festival circuit. So Sundance, you always try for the big six. Yeah. So it's, even if it's a crapshoot whether you get in, but if you don't even put your film in, you're not going to get in. So it's who is it? So somebody always says you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So you always have to put in for them. So the Sundance, I believe theirs is either the end of August or the first week of September to have it in, and then you have South by Southwest and Tribeca and Toronto and Berlin and Cannes, and those are the 6 major festivals. And so we have to kind of have the film in a very close to complete form by the end of August. So we'll be able to start sending out perks to people, hopefully by as long as once we get it from that very complete form to a complete form in the next couple of months after that, people who have like who buy the digital download of the film, hopefully October. But it all depends on like the rules of the festivals.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the festivals are like, if you are giving out copies to people, then we won't show your film.
Yeah.
So we just have to double check through those rules to make sure that they're okay with us giving perks out to the people who help make the film. But once we're through those kind of things, then we'll be able to give it out to those people. But depending on what film festival it gets into, we'll let people or will dictate when people will be able to see it. So if we don't get into any film festivals, then we'll be able to let people see it probably by May of next year. Like we'll have it up on Amazon and things like that, where people will be able to download and watch it. But if we do get into a bunch of festivals, it could be late next year, late October, where just the general public would be able to see it.
Yeah,
it just depends on how the festival circuit works.
It's kind of mad that, because that's all kind of things I never really thought of until I started helping out with Romford. And by the way, you said the top 6. You missed out Romford Film Festival.
Oh, I'm sorry. Top 7 Romford.
Top 7, top 5. But no, I didn't like. There's all sorts of loopholes and rigmarole and everything to go through with all that. I was quite surprised by all that. It's a pretty mad market. Cool.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Cool. I'm enjoying being part of that as well. So, but you have had pretty good success with festivals, so I'm pretty sure you'll be all right. Yeah. You've done well so far, so yeah, I'm pretty optimistic for it.
As am I. You have to be optimistic, I guess.
Oh, of course you have. Of course you have. I mean, that's exactly why we podcast. So that's the IndieGoGo. I'm going to try and help pimp it as much as humanly possible. Once it starts up, we will be posting it all over the place because we want to see this get made. I've seen one of your previous movies, and I think you've heard me gush all over it tonight. So
I know,
and I told myself I wasn't going to do that. I was like, "You're talking to Aaron. You like this movie. Be cool." Didn't happen. Did not happen. But we're going to be doing all that, and going forward, we're going to try and help out as much as we humanly can. But we're going to start wrapping up in a second. But what else is Aaron working on? What else has he got going? Because you sent me something a little while ago that I got to read, and I've not heard anything else about it. And I'll tell you something, that hooked me from word go. So what's going on? Tell me.
So we've actually, Eric and I actually have about, 20, 21 different scripts.
Nice.
that we've written over the last 20 years or so. Mostly him. I think like 2 of them are mine. But one of those is Click, which is the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I really, really like that script.
Yeah.
But that one would take some money to make. I'm not talking like hundreds of thousands of dollars or $1 million, but it would take enough to be able to lock down everybody for probably 2 weeks because of the way I want to shoot it. I want to shoot a film about a guy whose stepson gets kidnapped and he's trying to save his son, but his day keeps getting reset when he shuts the front door. It's your general Groundhog Day kind of film. But I want to shoot it in a single shot.
Yeah.
So
You're mental.
which is very mental to do that.
It's mental.
So that's kind of that's the reason that I think it'll take so much money. If I didn't shoot it, if I didn't want to shoot it like that, then it probably wouldn't cost as much. Because of that, that's probably why I think it'll take a lot more money than we're used to spending on a film.
Yeah.
So I have to find the money and find the time for that one, because it's probably taking 2 weeks off from work to make kind of film. And I really love that script. It's a
good script.
I enjoyed writing it, and it was even now I've gone through it. I probably pick it up once a month, and I start reading through it. And I'm like, all right, what can I change? I'm like, there's really nothing that I can change that would make this thing better. I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but it feels like everything that comes across is like, I don't see where I could change it. I mean, if I probably sat down with somebody who actually writes scripts and is like, you should probably change this, you should probably change that. Then oh yeah, you're right. But the stuff that I know about film writing, it feels like it's put together seemingly well. But yeah, that's probably, if I had my choice of next projects, that would probably be it, because I would love to make that film.
And you've got 21 other scripts.
Yeah. We just have to find somebody that'll help us make them.
Admins 2?
Admins 2. We would definitely make Admins 2. We've got our first film, Ghosts Don't Exist 2, that we'd love to make a sequel to as well.
Nice. And is there I know I mentioned it before a little bit. Is there any sign of Douglas stepping on board with you and reprising some sort of Randall style role, or?
If we shot in Admins 2, he would definitely be on board. He is actually running his own film company now. He's produced a couple of films on his own, and produced a series with Jay, like a zombie series that's really good. And he does commercials on the side, or like making commercials for companies on the side, and so he's doing really well.
He sent me over Instagram. He sent me, what was it called? The special. The
special, yes.
Yeah, he sent me that, and he says, "Would you fancy checking out?" And I was like, "What's it about?" And he was like, "It's you should just watch it." And I was like, "No, like, what's the pitch? Like, give me the pitch." And he was like, "A guy sticks his dick in a box." And I was like, okay, I'll watch that. Put that on your poster. I'll watch that. So yeah, that was a strange one, but I enjoyed it. So Aaron, I'm going to start letting you go. I've taken up far too much of your time. We've had a good chance of shooting the breeze here.
No problem.
We will absolutely have you on again. Maybe when the movie's closer to being, or the IndieGoGo closer to being done, and you need a little bit more sort of stretch and everything. 100%. You're more than welcome anytime on this show. I think you know that. But
I appreciate that.
If you want to let people know where they can find you and find your work, and just pimp yourself out a little bit, because it makes my job a hell of a lot easier.
Well, I am, as far as I know, I am the only Aaron Goodmiller in the world.
Nice.
So if you just do a search for Aaron Goodmiller, you will find me. I'm on Facebook. I'm on under Aaron Goodmiller. I'm on Instagram under Aaron Goodmiller or A Goodmiller. I'm on Twitter under Aaron Goodmiller. And those are the main things to find me. If you're looking for the film, under Instagram, it's Left Fingers Movie. Under Facebook, it's also Left Fingers Movie. And then under Twitter, they suck because they have length limits. It's Left Fingers Film. Left Fingers Movie is one letter too long, so I had to go to Left Fingers Film. I had made Instagram and Facebook before I went to Twitter, and they were like, nope, too long.
It's funny the amount of films that happens with as well, because there's been a few where like I've tagged them on Facebook and then I'll go over to Twitter and I'm like, what, film? What? The movie on everything else, but film on this? What? Happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But Aaron, this has been fantastic, and when the IndieGoGo does go live, I'll be trying to promote it as much as possible. I'll push it on the Facebook, the Twitter. You know, I'm all about trying to push yourself, and I'm gonna go and watch Admins again.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot.
Anytime, man. This has been awesome. It was great to have you on for the MCU episode, but I always feel like we did you a little bit of a disservice there by having you on for that problem. Episode. But you had a project that we want to try and help push, and I'm definitely going to have a shot of this Geo-Cache, and I'm going to get this app. I'm going to take the girls out, and we're going to go and probably find a dead body in Berwick.
That would be awesome.
It would be awesome.
Well, at least I didn't go to the bathroom while I was on the phone with you. So
that you know what? That's not even the worst thing he's done. It's not even the worst thing he's done.
That's one of my favorite things that happened on your show.
Yeah, we didn't even realize until we could hear the tinkle, and we were like, "Dude, are you actually in the bathroom right now?" And he's like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
But trust me, Toby's done a lot worse. So
that was the best. Toby's awesome.
The great thing about the show as well is I leave. I don't edit much anymore. Like it has to be something that I'm sort of like, you know what, I'm not putting that in. But I don't really edit too much, so a lot of the stuff that just gets left in, I'll listen back to it and I'm like, why the hell didn't you take that out? But it's, you know what, it's the fun of the show. We always say that we're not trying to reinvent the wheel or anything like that. We're not trying to be the next Jonathan Ross or the next Parkinson or the next whoever. We're just a couple of lads down the pub with their mates talking about movies who happen to make those movies. That's right. That's the way we frame it, and yeah, it seems to be working.
Yeah. It's a great show. I love it. I love the show.
It's good to hear that. It's good to hear that. We've had a lot of good responses lately. It's been nice. It would be nice if people posted them on Facebook and Twitter a bit more, but people just tend to send you personal messages, and it's like, well, that doesn't help.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, if you want to do that, send it on Facebook and at me, and I'm perfectly fine.
That's what I mean. It's all fine and well you're saying these things to me, but put it out there. But yeah, it's all good. It's all good. We know what the show is. We absolutely love the show, and it just seems to be going from strength to strength. In this last 3-4 months, Jesus, it's been mental. Good mental. Yes. And it kind of got to the point where when I was sending emails out to people like the likes of Jude Poyer and all that, like no way in hell did I think he was ever going to come on the show. And I just messaged him and I was like, look, you can't tell me you're busy because nobody's doing anything right now. And that was like literally how I opened the email. And I got an email back within about 10 minutes. I really liked that. Yes, let's do it. So
that's awesome.
That was good. So I've been getting a bit bolshy lately.
Hey, what can it hurt, right? What's he going to do? What's the worst he can say is no?
Exactly. They're not going to say no and then trash the podcast. They're just going to say no and never look at me. But it's been fun. It's been fun. But honestly, Aaron, it's great to have you on properly and to do a proper episode and a proper little chat. I hope I didn't get too serious.
No, not at all.
And how weird is it to see the curtain pulled?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
It's mad.
So I've always wanted to tell you this. Whenever you go through and do your list of saying all the different places that you're on, there's one of them that sounds like you're saying Kanja Club.
Kanja Club.
I don't know which one it is, but it sounds like you're saying Kanja Club, and it sounds like you're saying it sounds like from The Force Awakens when you have the two groups that are talking to Han Solo, and one of them says, we're with the Kanja Club." It's not, every time you say that, I think of that scene in Star Wars.
I don't know what that would be. That's just my accent.
I don't know. I can't remember what.
I'll take that though. If people hear me saying Star Wars things, I'll take that. The best ones are the accidents, really. You know, it's always good. But honestly, this has been a blast. It's good to have you on, and we'll definitely do it again. Like I say, you're more than welcome anytime.
I appreciate it.
I'm looking forward to seeing Left Fingers and seeing what you're doing with it. But get that click film made.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
I read that and I couldn't put it down the first time I read it, and then I read it again like 2 or 3 weeks later, and genuinely, that's a movie that you need to be getting made. It's yeah.
I appreciate
Class.
that. Yeah, I really like that script, and to hear other people say that they liked it as well makes me want to make it even more.
Get it done. I mean, maybe I don't know what else you would call it, but whenever people say Click, I think of Adam Sandler.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
But then you can't really call it Door Lock or door Reset.
You call it what did she say? Oh man, it's been a month since I read it. Bob, can you check the door? Or can you take this to? Can you take the lunch to Steven?
Or just leave
That's too long of a title, though.
Just leave it with Click. That's too wordy.
Yes.
We'll get you back to your regularly scheduled podcast in just a minute. But we wanted to introduce ourselves. I'm Jason.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Blake on this highly produced advertisement.
That's right. It's the History of Bad Ideas, a.k.a. Hobie. You can find us on Twitter at Bad Ideas Podcast and on Facebook at the History of Bad Ideas. But if you like a podcast roundtable with 3 to 5 guests, usually every week, depending on sick leave, talking about all things geek, including movies,
TV.
I ain't getting paid for this shit.
Blake bitching about something and ranting, and comic books and anything else that we can think of. We have a top 5 list every week, along with a box office news, and somehow we have listeners, so they send us some feedback we answer every week. You can find us on iTunes,
Stitcher,
Facebook,
Spotify,
and any good podcast app, because if you can't find us on that podcast app, it's not a good podcast app.
Damn straight. Roger says goodbye.
Goodbye.
So yeah, that was Aaron, and to be perfectly honest, that's an interview that's been coming for a long time. We were just waiting to get that perfect moment, and with him having an IndieGoGo campaign on the go for his new movie to try and get it finished, what better time to sit down and talk about it and see if we can help get Aaron's next movie finished, get it across the line. We're going to be promoting it as much as humanly possible. We absolutely love Aaron. He's an amazing guy. He's been with us for a long time. You know, one of the first people that kind of started liking our stuff and posting our stuff up, and one of the first, and he's always been there with us, and we love having him on board. And it was just amazing to get him on, not just to talk about the movie, the IndieGoGo campaign, but also to talk about admins. And, you know, it was interesting finding out about his day job, where he's basically a hacker to the hackers, which is amazing. So, yeah, I'm going to let everybody go. This has been a fantastic chat. We've got more coming. We've got way more coming. Check out Nerdly Out Loud. We've got a fantastic roundtable interview with the cast and director of Tribal Get Out Alive. That is going to be dropping soon. The Nerdly episodes will be dropping soon. I've got an interview coming up, which I can't wait for people to hear. You're going to love this one. So yeah, just keep listening. There's more and more content coming, and I'm loving. Let's just keep this truck rolling. Yeah, peace out.